Barakada Yahweh, Barakada Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well, and whom I learn this truth from. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and in this video, I'll be profiling an article from SlayNews.com titled, Bill Gates, the man of the hour, warns civil war is coming, will bring it all to an end. A very interesting statement that Bill Gates made, that a civil war is coming to the United States of America, and a second civil war will take place in the United States of America. It's all a part of biblical prophecy, and we can clearly see that this country is ready for another civil war. Everywhere anybody could be divided on any issue, people are in this country. A man versus woman, you've got the MGTOW movement versus feminism, conservatives versus liberals, red versus blue, or Republicans versus Democrats. You've got generational divides with the millennials and Gen Z complaining about how the baby boomers stole their future from them, which in a lot of cases, that is the truth. The baby boomers did do a lot to fuck over the generations after them. You've got so-called religious Edomites against atheistic Edomites, so-called straight Edomites, and I put emphasis on so-called straight Edomites against Edomites that are for the alphabet group beginning with LG. You've got a patriot, red-blooded American Edomites against Edomites in the government, class warfare with rich and middle class versus, poor and middle class, which the middle class is disappearing more and more each day against richer Edomites. The list goes on, and it's eventually going to boil over into blood on the streets. This is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. And this isn't talking about the ancient Egyptians or Mizraim, who are Hamites or so-called Africans. This is talking about these modern-day spiritual Egyptians in modern-day spiritual Egypt, as pursuant to Revelation 11, verse 8. These American Edomites. And they shall fight, everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom. You've even got heads of state going against each other. Look at what Ron DeSantis just did with those northern tribe migrants that came to his state of Florida. He shipped them off to blue states to let them deal with the problem. And as it says, shit, I might as well get it. In Mark 3, verses 24, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And the kingdom of the United States of America is clearly divided. And I gave a bunch of reasons why this country is divided, and you've even got insiders like Bill Gates predicting a civil war is coming, and through the scriptures we know a civil war is coming. So if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. We're living in the twilight hours of the United States of America before it completely collapses and is then wiped off the face of the earth by 200 million nuclear missiles, which are going to turn it into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards. Let's get into this article. Billionaire Bill Gates is warning that America is heading for civil war, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and fears that political polarization could bring it all to an end. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Gates made the prediction during a recent keynote conversation at this year's Forbes 400 Summit on philanthropy. The Microsoft co-founder revealed that he plans to end Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in 25 years. The goal for the blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the main point. However, Gates, who predicted pandemic back in 2015, said he expects the United States to soon be torn apart by civil war. We are going to have a hung election and a civil war, he said. I admit that political polarization may bring it all to an end, he added. And Bill Gates is an insider, so he knows a lot of what's going on behind the scenes and what the elites plan on doing. And it's interesting that it said here that he predicted a situation back in 2015. And look up something called Event 201, which was funded in part by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which took place in October of 2019 and simulated how the world would react to a global pandemic. And the situation that they just so happened to use in their simulation was a coronavirus. What a coincidence. And now you got Billy Gates talking about how when the second situation happens, it's really going to catch people's attention, and that he expects it to be a committed act of biological terrorism. So if his so-called predictions seem to be coming true, hey, like I said, he's an insider and he knows what's going on behind the scenes and what the elites plan on doing. So when Bill Gates so-called predicts that there's going to be a civil war, hey, he's got a lot of weight to his words, so to speak. But again, we have the scriptures that let us know that a civil war is coming regardless. That's it with this article. Now let's get back into these precepts. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15. I'm going to read verses 15 to 16. For the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And that one people standing up and fighting against another goes into a whole host of things. One race of people standing up and fighting against another, which racial skirmishes will take place in the United States of America. Matthew 24, nation shall rise against nation. And also just read Isaiah chapter 13. Read around verses 14 to about 16. The one people shall stand up fighting against another can also go into two political groups, liberals and conservatives fighting against each other, class groups, rich versus poor, and then political violence. The average, everyday American Edomite fighting against the Edomites that are in the government because they see that they're not for their best interest. And that sword in their hands, the modern day sword, especially in the United States of America, is that gun. Verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men. And when you look up the definition for the word sedition, it means conduct or speech inciting rebellion against a ruling authority or monarch. And a couple of months ago, I did a video showing that with each passing year, threats against people in the government have been rising, and some of the threats that were being made in the article I used in that video were very violent. One guy threatened to kill and skin alive a politician, stuff like that. But hey, it's going to go from just talking to actual action in the streets. Hey, one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes. And your modern day kings and princes are these people in the government. Mayors, governors, senators, presidents, prime ministers, as well as the authorities that uphold the system, such as the police or the military. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And just outside of political polarization leading to a civil war, when inflation, when it really hits as hyperinflation, and then this cost of living crisis gets worse to where people have to choose between putting gas in their car or putting food on the table, people's businesses continue to shut down and they lose their jobs because we're going into a recession, really a depression, hey, these people are going to be in a very seditious spirit and take to the streets. They're going to see that, hey, every action that their government's been making has been going against their own interests, because that's the point. These people in the government rub shoulders with the elites and they're on board with collapsing the system. And the United States of America is a powder keg, and that match or that fuse has been lit and it's about to blow up out here. We can truly see that we're living in the last seconds of these last days. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites, primarily from the United States of America. Again, if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.